Good evening and welcome to tonight's educational parenting evening entitled Healthy and Effective Communication with and for Your Children. First of all, I just want to introduce myself. My name is Dr. Yitzchak Schechter. It's my honor and privilege to serve as the director of CAPS, the Center for Applied Psychology at Bikur Cholim, which, as many people in the community know, serves as an essential resource for the community. It has a behavioral health center, a mental health clinic, school-based counseling program, and many other fantastic and critical services for the community, with not only phenomenal professionals, also at the same time, people that are exquisitely sensitive to the particular needs of the community. So I'm very excited about this event this evening, and I'm confident that it will be one of our best events yet. And that is quite a high standard to meet, given the wonderful positive feedback we've gotten at previous events and previous programs. This topic, and the format of the topic, was chosen and developed with a lot of feedback from you, the audience and the community, parents and members of the community. We actually listen when you communicate. There are a few things that are more fundamental than communication. It is the way we as human beings, us as people, interact and connect. It's the energy that drives our social world and our lives. And also, communication is fundamental and at the core of Torah and Yiddishkeit as well. It's through communication that Akash Baruch Hu creates the world so as to send a message. Be'asar ma'amorim nivra olam. It doesn't say 10 actions, 10 things. It was 10 statements, 10 communications that Akash Baruch Hu creates the world. Think of all the messages that Hashem sends throughout all the Torah. When Hashem creates man, he says, Na'aseh Adam, let us. What do you mean us? Us, there's no us, it's just Hashem. But now, he's teaching us a very important idea. He's communicating through the subtle words of the Torah, communicating the sense of humility. When Hashem catches, quote unquote, Adam and Chava, when they sin, when they eat from the Eitz Hadas, he doesn't say, what did you do? He says, Ayeka, where are you? And he starts a conversation, as Rashi says. He doesn't just, at that moment, just come in and enter with anger and punishment. And we see this in many, many places. The Peh Daberbo, with Moshe, that Hashem has a direct communication with him. But the entire Masorah, the entire tradition of the Jewish people, is based on nothing else but our communication from parent to child, from father to son, and mother to daughter, throughout all the generations. So that's even in Torah, not even, but in Torah as well, communication. We think about Hachaim v'Hamaves, biyad halasha. It's about, we have to be very careful about how we speak and how we say things. And there's many, many, many Ma'amari Chazal, statements from the rabbis throughout the generation. But also it's very important to remember that everything is communication. Obviously it happens every time we speak to our child, speak to our spouse, speak to other people. But it's far beyond just the words we use. It's the tone, it's the volume, it's the body language. When I am looking intently and seeing and facing you, or if I were to sort of like just go like this and just that's communication. The context of the where we talk, how we talk. It's what we say, it's what we don't say. And it's also, very importantly, the reaction to everything else. And we have to remember that our children are like microphones. Our children, our students, are like microphones or video cameras, constantly taking pictures, constantly observing. Everything we do is a communication. Everything we say, we do, even when we think nobody's looking, is a communication. Now, so to tackle this critical and ubiquitous topic, it's every place, we want to give you practical, useful, take-home skills. That's the idea, to take them home with you. We want it not just to be enjoyable, informational evening, which I'm sure it will be, but one that gives you practical skills that will really make a difference. The evening is arranged into 4 presentations after my introduction, with a breakout exercise to practice some of the skills afterwards, and with a follow-up question and answer. This actually came directly from your feedback, because we've done these programs in the past, and we would have to make you choose. And everybody said, no, there's so many good choices. We don't want to choose. Please let us have all of it. So that's what we're trying here this evening. So, so the first presentation will be by Dr. Rena Golden, but how parents communicate with each other and how that impacts the children. The relationship between the parents is the frame for how communication happens with the child. So it's a behind-the-scenes guide on how to present a united front. Then you'll hear from Mrs. Avi Nakdiman on teaching children and ourselves the language of emotions, the basics of opening and maintaining communication, and tolerating negative emotion, because negative emotion is a reality for us and our children. And then we will hear from Dr. Stephanie Hartman on the techniques of communication, focusing on how to communicate effectively with friends, with school, and as an advocate for our child, and making the most of the school-parent-child relationship. Finally, for the presentation phase of the evening, I will present on communicating to aid our children in making their own healthy choices and making a lasting impact, not just for the present, but for the long term, very far down the road. We'll follow these up with a brief exercise. I'll explain it right after the presentation. Each of you will be given different vignettes or situations to which you can discuss with your table or area, and we'll be there to help you do role plays, ask questions to each other. It'll be interesting, if nothing else. No, it'll be great. And then we're going to have a follow-up question and answer. Now, just very briefly, again, CAPS, we are a behavioral health center with a lot of really, we have about 20 clinicians. As you'll see this evening, some of them really phenomenal, really wonderful. All from clinicians sensitive to the community, and we provide a very important need for the community. Just to give you a sense as how much the community appreciates these services. About 5 years ago, we had 3,300 visits in our clinic for the year. This past year, that was just finished 2011, we had just about 16,000 visits. While very often people say, "Ay, nebuch," I say actually quite the opposite. Baruch Hashem. It's great that people can get help for big problems and little problems, for serious issues and not such serious issues, to just give greater support and greater understanding of the issues going on. And I strongly advise looking at through the literature that we have given out, and you'll see a little bit more about us. Our phone number on the brochure is 425-5252, extension 300. Now, a critical part of communication is giving thanks, giving gratitude, and communicating that and letting everybody know. So we want to let people know their efforts are appreciated. To that end, I want to thank and list all the schools that are participating in supporting this event. Ashar, Rabbi Jacobson and Mrs. Shu, Beis Mikra, Rabbi Bodenheimer, Beis Chinuch, Eisgrau, who was here earlier this evening, Cheder Chabad, boys and girls, to Rabbi Volovic and Mrs. Rosenblum, the Children's Education Initiative, Chaim, to Dr. and Mrs. Levin, Yeshiva Yitzchak Benos Bracha, Mrs. Eidlis, and to Yeshiva Spring Valley, boys and girls, Rabbi Frankel, and also Rabbi Dr. Granik. We greatly appreciate all of them, and who we have a very close partnership with, and especially to YSV, who this year is our Achzania, is our physical host. In addition, I want to thank Ellie Wisman, who is the director of non-public schools, and the East Ramapo Central School District for their steadfast support and partnership for this program and many, many of our other programs. As well as Rabbi Chanowitz from YSV for helping out, Dr. Rivka Stark for her publicity and recording. We will actually try to make this available. I've actually gotten many, many requests to make this available both by audio and by video, given that this hour is not always the best hour with kids. Mrs. Lowy and Mrs. Fisher are sitting in the back, who are helping out, are part of our wonderful staff, who they actually didn't hear me, because they're helping people, as they always do. And also the presenters, who you'll appreciate, I'm sure, very shortly. And above all, I want to appreciate and really thank Mrs. Judy Muller. Mrs. Muller, who has really put her all into not just pulling together this evening, but by creating this evening, and whose efforts and dedication to the value of these educational programs and seeing and appreciating it makes it the success that it is. Thank you.